Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you a really cool Kellogg wooden wall telephone, and this is Ed's telephone from Mississippi. And so I want to kind of give you a look at the side here. It has its lightning arrestor, and the receiver capsule has a black plastic or rubber cord on it, and that's going to be changed to a cloth cord. We may have to go in and upgrade the receiver and transmitter, and we do have a crank handle and a magneto in this unit. And so it's a very nice original style Kellogg wooden wall telephone. I want to give you a look at the inside. This is the initial checkout. Now I want to show you on the magneto of the bell, the clapper is broke off, and that's going to be an issue. So we're going to have to see what we can do to get that back on, and if we can't, there's going to be some major parts that are going to need to be replaced. We do have a schematic. We'll take a still picture of that with the cords out of the way there, coming off the transmitter. Another issue that has to be removed is an old subset that somebody installed in this telephone that does not need to be there. They were probably using that for connections and for a second, for a ringer. That's probably what they were using for a bell, if they ever even got that far, because it doesn't look like they did. Now there's an issue with the magneto, and I don't want to turn the crank really too much because it has a lot of resistance in it, and the crank's going to have to be taken apart and looked at and repaired. So overall, it's a very nice telephone with a lot of issues. And we're going to be installing a modular port in this telephone. We're going to, so Ed can simply walk up to it and plug in a line cord, any length, any color. The other issue is we need to create a circuit after we repair the magneto that will allow us to ring the bell when we crank it, but yet when he gets a phone call and a ring comes in, the bells will ring then too. But we don't want to backfeed any voltage into the telephone line when we're cranking the magneto. So that circuit has to be created. Give you another look at the magneto, or the solenoid for the bell. And like we showed you earlier, the clapper has broken off of that. Somebody probably was trying to get the bell to ring and started playing with this clapper and broke it off. So it's a really nice telephone though, in very good condition, basically, original kind of condition. So we're going to take a short break from the video, and we're going to get a start on this telephone, and we'll get some video of it as we move along and to the process of repairing the telephone. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and we are in the middle of the process of converting this telephone. And so what we have now is the receiver capsule and the black rubber cord that they had going to it. And this is an upgrade at one time, but basically it is no good, and we have to get rid of it. And it just is falling apart on the inside, and the connections are no good, and neither is the receiver capsule. It's taken on some kind of water, and it has a lot of corrosion on it, and so that's going in the trash. And of course we know that the cord is also, that's no good, so that'll be replaced with a cloth cord. We can also show you that we've been working on the magneto and got that squared away, and the circuit that when you crank the magneto and ring the bells, that breaks away, the circuit breaks away that voltage, and we don't backfeed any voltage into the telephone line. And also we can ring the bell with a ring cycle. So we'll go ahead and use the analyzer and ring the telephone. We'll let that go a few times. I'll let it go one more time. We'll go ahead and stop the ring, and I'll go ahead and crank the unit. So we're pretty far into the repair of this telephone. What we want to do now is go ahead and repair the receiver capsule. We also want to go through the transmitter, and we want to finalize some of the wiring that we had to do because we've had to rewire some of this telephone. Some of it was missing, and it wasn't the way we needed it anyway, so we would have had to rewire no matter what, like we always do. So we'll go ahead and take a short break, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and so basically what we're doing is we're going to upgrade the transmitter and receiver, and so we've taken this apart, and this is known as a bulldog type mouthpiece or transmitter cup. And so these short stubby ones are called bull noses. And basically somebody has upgraded this telephone in the past, and they have some kind of nasty type material in here that is just rotten, and it's just really hard to deal with and clean up. And you can see the transmitter. What it did was it started decaying everything and corroding everything, and so naturally that's no longer any good, and it's definitely going to have to be replaced. So we're going to work on that, and then what we'll do is come back and do some of our final checks, because other than the receiver, which we found to be the same way as the transmitter, with some type of material foam that they were putting in there, has just turned into kind of like a glob of, a big mess, and then everything has gotten corroded, and the receiver was the same way basically. So we'll get that straightened out and repaired and upgraded, and then we'll go ahead and do some final checks. So we'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and we're going to show you a little bit about what's going on, since the receiver capsule was no good, and neither was the transmitter, the T1 that they had installed years ago. And so basically somebody had gone through this telephone and upgraded it, but they put a material in behind the transmitter and the receiver that basically took on moisture, and it kind of decayed away and rotted and caused a bunch of corrosion on the inside of the receiver capsule and the transmitter, and ruined both receiver and transmitter. Now this is the older style T1s, and they're very noisy. If you've had any experience with these can sizzle, they can crack and pop and cause a lot of static sensation in the telephone line. And so they're kind of a pain in the neck to deal with once they get some age on them. And what I've been doing lately is creating an electronic circuit that's a transmitter. And so it takes the place of these T1s. And the quality behind the electronic transmitter is far above anything that you're going to get out of a T1. And they don't have any kind of cracking and popping. They don't cause any of that static sensation because they don't have any carbon granules in them. And so, it's a totally different situation. Now, I have this hooked up, and all I need to do is plug it in. And what we're going to have is dial tone. So that's your dial tone coming from your receiver. And if I take this transmitter, and you watch this red light on the analyzer, as I transmit, That's 100% modulation on transmit. Every time you see that red light, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, hello. So the audio quality and the transmit quality that you're going to get from this electronic transmitter is far above anything, like I said earlier, than you'll get out of this T1. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to stabilize this circuit, and once I stabilize this circuit, I will install it behind the transmitter cup, and then we should be good to go, and I'll install the receiver capsule and we'll do our final check. So I'm going to take a short break and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back now, and we are finished up with the repair and conversion of this telephone, and we're going to kind of run through a little bit about everything that went on. We had to install a little bell tensioner so that the bell would ring as efficient as possible. And so we also had to repair some of the wiring. We had to add some wiring for the bell and rewire everything inside the telephone the way we wanted it wired so it would work the way we wanted it to. We also created a circuit that when you crank the magneto and ring the bells, you don't backfeed any voltage into the telephone line. And when you have a ring cycle that comes in, the bells will ring also. We also installed a modular port adapter up in the corner of the upper half of the telephone, and that way you can simply plug any line cord, any length, any color in, and it makes for a nice clean connection, plug and play. And we also upgraded the receiver, and we have installed an electronic microphone. So I want to go ahead and ring the bells with a crank, and we'll go ahead and do that. Now I want to go ahead and shut the unit here. Okay, now what we can do is we can ring the telephone with the analyzer. I'll let that go a couple more times. We'll go ahead and answer it, give you some dial tone. Now what I want to do is I want to tap the hook switch and make the dial tone go away. And I'm going to go ahead and speak into the telephone, and I'm really pretty far away from this telephone, and as you can see, this red light on the analyzer, every time you see that red light, that's an indication of 100% modulation on transmit. And I'm a couple of foot away from this telephone. So that electronic microphone that I built and installed into this telephone is almost acting like a speakerphone. So you wouldn't necessarily, to talk to somebody, have to be right up on the spit cup or the bullnose. So we know that that is working, and you're going to get a lot more quality out of that microphone, that transmitter, than you would ever get out of an older style T1. And I'll show you one of these that has the carbon crystals or granules in them, and these are very noisy. As they get some age on them and they start to wear out, they get very noisy, they have a lot of static sensation, and they can sizzle and pop and crack, and so we don't need to worry about that any longer. And so what we want to do now is I'll go ahead and hang up. We also have a new cloth cord installed for the receiver, and on the hook switch, basically where the receiver hangs up, these two pieces of metal that hold the hook switch or the receiver in place, there's a bracket that comes out here, and basically what happens is sometimes the rivet gives out, and so we put a new rivet in and got that squared away. So there was a lot of different little things that went on with this telephone that we had to do, but we're finished up with it now, and what we want to do is switch this telephone with a switch box, and I can push this button, and that totally takes the analyzer out of the situation and gives us a line out. And I will use a tone dialer, and I'll go ahead and call a time and temp number. I'm going to give you some dial tone.
Good afternoon. Offenburg St. Clair Auto Mall with 5 new car lines at one location in O'Fallon. Offenburg.com. Today is Thursday, May 30th. The time is 1:07. Current temperature 82 degrees. Now the Belleville area weather forecast.
Breezy today, mostly cloudy skies, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, highs in the 80s, mostly cloudy tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely, lows around 70. Breezy on Friday, mostly cloudy skies, showers and thunderstorms likely, highs in the mid-80s.
Now that we know that this telephone has been repaired and converted, we can return it to Ed, and he can start enjoying this telephone. It's a very cool Kellogg wooden wall telephone, and it's a nice example of one. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.